So I've taken the loss of Ozzy Osborne and Hulk Hogan pretty hard, actually. And I think a big part of that is because both of those guys played a fairly decent role in my childhood. My mom always listened to Ozzy growing up. For me, she always listened to Ozzy, and I listened to him growing up. And Hulk Hogan was a legend to me. I was born in '86, and pro wrestling, even though I fell out of love with it, when I was a kid, I lived for that. There was a time where I lived for it. I remember a lot of my childhood was relatively drama filled. Some traumatic stuff going on, and pro wrestling was one of my first real loves that was an escape for me. Something I really looked forward to, and something I got lost in, in a good way. And when you lose certain people that were a big part of your childhood, especially, even if they're people you don't know in your real life, kind of feels like you lose a little bit of yourself, I hate loss. I've never been good at it. And I've lost a lot of people in the last few years. A lot. And it's almost like these two celebrities that have passed away have kind of made me relive the feelings I probably still haven't worked through from the people in my personal life. I've always had a weird, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this, it almost feels strange to say, I've always had this lingering, I don't know if fear is the right word, kind of fear, but I've always had this lingering feeling that death was imminent. I remember even as a kid, I've always thought something was wrong with me. Maybe it is. Because I remember having a good time as a kid with my friends. And as a child, I remember stepping back and looking at the scene of everybody hanging out, even outside playing, and taking a snapshot in my mind and thinking, I better cherish this because we're all going to be gone someday. And at the time, I didn't necessarily think of gone as death, but I was hyper aware at a very young age that these moments will pass. And I almost would have this somber, reflective sadness in the middle of a high of having fun with my friends playing. And I always thought something was wrong with me for that. I don't know if something traumatic happened that made me hyper fixate on this fear of death or the thought of death and losing people and losing myself. I don't know where that came from, but it was always there, as a kid even. And I remember as a kid with wrestling, like I said, it was one of the first real escapes that I had. And I remember some of my best memories were when my family was all in harmony watching Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or one of the pay-per-views. We never bought the pay-per-views because we had one of those de-scrambler boxes. You guys remember those? We actually had one so we could always just de-scramble all the pay-per-views without having to buy them. I remember sitting there so excited, glued to the TV with all these guys like Hulk Hogan that I really loved. I remember my dad got Pizza Time. If you guys remember Pizza Time, I don't think we even have any more Pizza Times in around Washington. But I remember getting Pizza Time, pizza. and sitting with friends and family watching whatever the pay-per-view was, WrestleMania, or whatever it was. And I remember having the pizza and that and thinking as a kid, I'm having so much fun and I don't have school in the morning. And I was like euphoric. I still remember that feeling. It was euphoric. Everybody was happy, glued to the TV, gossiping about what's going to happen, how it's going to play out, who's going to win. Just eating the pizza and thinking, as a kid, on like a Saturday night or whatever this was, not having to go to school in the morning. Heaven. It was heaven. There was a time when wrestling was a huge part of my life. And those memories are so valuable to me. So when I heard about Hulk Hogan passing away, the sadness I felt, I think in part was because I feel like part of my childhood died. You know, another part of it, as you lose all these people that were so important at a time and a place in your life, you know. Here's the thing, man. At the end of the day, like I always say to you guys in many videos, like, gotta hustle and grind and stay busy and blah, blah. And part of me knows that I personally say that and behave that way because I still have this looming feeling of this. I don't know if the word's negative when I talk about the afterlife and losing people and the somber sadness that comes along with that. I guess it's negativity, but maybe it's something else. But I always have that lingering feeling. And I feel like myself and maybe a lot of people, if we don't stay busy and we don't just get caught up in the bullshit we get caught up in, you know, we're worried about making money and getting a cooler car and status, whatever, all this stuff we all talk about. I feel like in some ways we all just do that just to stay busy and avoid the fact that when you strip it all down, we're here for a while and then we're gone. And I've mentioned this before in another video, and I don't remember where I saw this, but I remember somebody saying this, and I can't remember his name. But I'm paraphrasing. He talked about how in life we all feel like we live and then we die one death. But in a way, many of us, in fact, all of us, I'd say, die many deaths. There's parts of you that might already be dead and you don't even realize it yet. Some of you will never ride a bike again. Some of you will never sit on a swing like you did as a child and enjoy that laughter and that freedom and that whimsical feeling of just sitting on a swing. That part of you might already be gone. That might never happen again. There's people we all lose. You can't hug. You can never hug them again. You can never talk to them again and laugh with them again. That part of you is gone. There's places you guys have always wanted to go see and travel to, or maybe you've been there and you loved it and you want to go back. You might never go back. That part of you might already be gone forever. You don't even know it yet. I look back at the people I've lost in the last however many years, like family members, good friends, guy that was like a brother to me, 29 years old. It's like, man, dude, that part of me is gone, you know? And I almost feel embarrassed to say that I would get relatively worked up and bummed out about losing celebrities, you know, like Ozzy and Hulk Hogan. But I don't care if people judge me for that because it is sad, man. Those people played a big role in my life, you know, in many people's lives. And it's a reminder, not only that that person's gone, but you realize that that part of you that they played such a big role in is kind of gone too. 'Cause, I don't know what this life is all about. I really don't. And this has always been an issue for me, even with like dating. That lingering feeling has always bugged me because even when I would date women that I really connected with, I've always had this, I almost want to say bitterness and anger towards life for death. I remember dating girls that were great girls. And looking back, part of me didn't even want to get close to them because I thought, well, I get close to this person when I'm going to lose them anyways. We're going to lose each other. I know how this ends, so why get close to anyone? I never admitted it back then or really worded it that way back then, but I've always kind of had that feeling. I've always sort of had that feeling. And it's ugly. And I think I've robbed myself of a lot of good memories with good people because I've always had this almost anger or bitterness towards the world because of death. I don't know where this video is going, quite frankly. I'm just a little sad and kind of just brainstorming and thinking out loud. Because I sit here tonight, I'm bummed out. Hulk Hogan, like I said, huge part of my childhood. And I haven't thought about wrestling for so long. So long. Haven't listened to Ozzy Osborne in so long. Now I hear, like, Mama, I'm coming home. Man, I got emotional hearing that today. And I think back to all the childhood memories when wrestling was such a love of mine. I loved pro wrestling. I idolized these guys and I just lived for it, you know? And I feel like now it's just a reminder, you know, that it's gone. And maybe that's not a bad thing. We're all here and then we all go, right? But when something means so much to you at some point in your life and you kind of forget that you've lost it, and then something like this happens to remind you that that part of you is gone, that's a tough feeling, man. So I guess I just stay busy, keep on grinding, keep on trucking. I don't know what other option we really have. But again, don't really know the point of this video. I'm just a little bit sad and bummed out, philosophically pondering life. And yeah, thank you guys for sitting here with me while I think out loud for a while. And I guess the main thing we can all take from this situation or any situation like this is please don't take people for granted. Please take a second to get your perspective where it needs to be. Yeah, money is important and getting chicks and cool cars and status and success and legacy, but take a second to smell the roses, if you will. Take a second to be grateful that you can feel the cool breeze or go for a walk or pet a dog or sit on a swing or, like I said, hug somebody. Don't take that stuff for granted, man. Please don't. If there's anything we can all get from sad loss like this of any kind, it's to please don't take great, beautiful things for granted. Because too many times in my life, unfortunately, I didn't appreciate people until they were gone. That's a horrible feeling, you guys.